opening Africa and the world. I'm Akosua Prempeh, broadcasting from the United States of Africa TV, where we bring you the truth that inspires our generation and unites our continent. Today's story takes us to Burkina Faso, where a powerful conference on Pan-Africanism and the Alliance of Sahel States, AES, has reminded the world that Africa's liberation is not just political, it is economic, cultural, and spiritual. The speaker called on all Africans to wake up from centuries of division and rediscover our strength as the cradle of humanity. From the 1685 Black Code to the Berlin Conference and the modern forms of neo-colonial control, this message exposes how Africa's story has been written by others for too long and how the new generation must now reclaim it. This historic moment is not only about Burkina Faso, Mali, or Niger. It's about all of us as one African family rising together to protect our sovereignty, our culture, and our future.
Given the way history has unfolded up to now, have we been regarded as swords? Old age? Have we always been considered human beings different from animals? No. The answer is no. It is no because throughout the course of history, people have acted as if they did not recognize that Africa is the cradle of humanity, as it is often said. Africa has been plundered in every possible way. Whether it be its economic values, its human values, its cultural values, its historical values, or its security values, Africa has been plundered. But I would even say more than plundered. I think that those who had an interest in plundering it in this way gave themselves the means to make their own laws. And these laws, at a certain point, they brought them together and called it the Black Code in 1685. But when you open this Black Code and look at what is inside, it shows that you and I, we are not considered human beings. We are objects. We are things. Now, an object is a thing. It's something that can be manipulated at will. It's something that can be dissected and cut up. It's something that can be sold and traded. That is how we are regarded. But precisely when we give this definition while talking about 1,685, one might say, since we live in a modern world today, has the content of the code changed? Have the practices, the things that were done since 1685 really changed? I also said no. I'll give some examples. I'll simply give some examples because since 1685, we've been living under the pressure that was brought down on Africa, and we can see that the children of Africa are starting to organize themselves. The revolt is starting to rise. In 1884, they allowed themselves to meet and say that the best way to keep dividing us, to keep exploiting us, is to break up our victories. So Africa was once again subdivided, separated, isolated. Families were completely broken apart. From that point on, we also see that the revolts on both sides, which were happening everywhere, did not help their rise. And when it did rise, the terminology had to change. Instead of continuing to talk about the slave trade, continuing to talk about slavery, now it was necessary to change and talk about colonization. So Africa is divided up, its lands are claimed, its people are claimed in every sense, and then things move forward. But the content remains the same. And whether it's slavery, the slave trade, or colonization, the common denominator is the same. It's about how to dehumanize the African. It's about how to destroy the African. It's about how to enslave the African. It's about how to turn the African into an animal in the night. So that's what the content is about. Whether it's exploitation, the slave trade, the church, or colonization, the content hasn't changed. But now, as the dead revolt fades, they say, we change from a wide angle, we change from a small bridge, we are in a neo-colonial period. There you have it, which is marked by questions of independence. And these questions of independence, when you look at them, is a way of telling you, don't complain, now you are your own masters. You are your own masters. And to show you that you shouldn't complain, they make parts for themselves from the other side of the oceans. They travel around African countries to distribute them. The first step, they arrive in a country and give out a tarp. They rest on the second, the third has died in another country. They rest on the fourth. On the 5th, they go to another country and on another date. And that's when we talk about formal independence. Formal independence because as for the substance, we can't say it's nothing. The substance is serious, even extremely serious. The substance is extremely serious because it consists of colonial chains, what we call agreements, which are especially connected to African countries, all right? How can you say that a country is independent? And at the same time as you tell them they're independent, you give them, to those you have chosen to lead them behind the scenes, you give them public agreements. The content must not be made public, but woe to the person concerned if they make a decision that does not align with all the agreements you have given them. That is to say, in a first agreement, we are supposed to acknowledge that colonization did us good. The fact that we got annoyed with Africa, we are supposed to admit that it did us good. And we even have to reinvest money we have to pay those who came to beat us, even if they were our grandparents, for that. So that's what they call a colonial mindset. The second point is that if I take the case of France, which colonized what is now Burkina Faso, if France faces difficulties like the way it is provoking Russia and other countries, if a conflict breaks out, it has the option to come and take young Burkinabés to make them defend it. That is an agreement. Second agreement, it is considered that the room we are sitting in, if gold is found underground, if diamonds are found underground, if oil is found underground, it's not for us, it's for them. And they have to come and check to see if they want it or not before we can even touch it. And the fourth point, for all the resources we find on our land, every year we must make a comprehensive report, at least on the quality of the resources in the ground, and send it to them. And the fifth point, we are not allowed to go and buy. Just like the rest of the continent, we do not have the possibility to go and buy our weapons to defend ourselves elsewhere. Even the training of our soldiers and others, they are the ones who have to do it. And the sixth point, at some point, they intimidate us so that we can't succeed. They are beating us. They do not agree. They have the ability to bring in their armies without our consent to come and control us and position themselves however they want. So that's ultimately the real content, on the one hand, of formal independence. But now, when they made all these agreements to put us in this situation, is precisely to better carve up Africa on the political front. To carve it up economically, to carve it up culturally, but also to carve it up in terms of movement. And I'll give some examples as well. But at the same time as they give the agreements, the so-called agreements, they say, the one we've chosen, it's he who chooses, not us. To make it seem like we are the ones who chose him, they also have to create documents to send to us. And these documents, they call them the Constitution. Beyond every country, there is a constitution, which is the fundamental law. And as for the content of the Constitution, they are the ones who wrote it. So what they do is they sit down over coffee or tea, look at the commas that suit them, and then they put together the content of the Constitution. And in this content of the Constitution, they say, well, in accordance with the pressure from abroad, we must quickly move on to election matters. The president must be elected. They show how they have to manipulate things to hold these elections. And when we go to the islands, they give the impression that a president has been elected, but it's not our president. It's us who believe that we've elected a president. We still don't have a president. He would have to travel to their countries, take his plane, and go to the other side of the ocean. For example, when I take the case of France, the case of Macron, Nicolas Sarkozy, and others, the president has to take his plane, go to the other side, and be received there. And when they receive him, they'll take him into their cultural chamber and to the main hall, where they'll place on his head machetes whose length he himself doesn't even know. They bring in dogs for a purpose. He was born, but he's never heard of such a thing. They give him herbal concoctions. He sees what's inside, but he doesn't know what it is. And through all this, he's asked to swear, even if it means destroying his entire people. He has to draw one mind, he has to draw two minds, he has to draw three minds. They must commit to serving their own interests. So it's only when he gets this validation that they give him a list. They say, all right, since we have to say goodbye, you handle it, you must manage things on our behalf. Draw up the list of those who will make up your government. The name of the prime minister is already known. The Minister of Defense's name is known. The Minister of Foreign Affairs' name is known. Economy and Finance, name known. Security, name known. And they say, depending on the sectors, which country you're going to, depending on religions, depending on regions, well, you have to do a bit of mixing to give the people the impression that they have political representatives. In fact, when he arrives, we learn at the airport, they say, this is our president. Where? Last you. Where is it? He doesn't answer to us. But we tell him clearly, in the context of an election, if you lose the elections, we will come with our army. As long as you do what we want, we will come and keep you in power. The key is, the main thing is that everything you do must be what we, the two of us, dictate. And in fact, to monitor everything they do, to be able to follow up, call them out, or take action, they say, the day I gather your government to work there. It's not up to you to choose the day. We are the ones who choose the day. And they choose the day when they are sleeping. On that day, the government must be sent to them. They have to analyze all the points. The points that don't suit them, they say, all right, set those aside. The points they're ready to analyze, and when you're done, you do them. To respond, from the first point of view, here are the decisions that have been made. If you have authorization to put a 9, you put a 9. And they send the same individuals, those people, so they can always have the elections wreck the cultural foundation in every village, so that each one has a representative of what we call traditional chiefs. And they say that we are in a political period, in a democratic period. And they reassure the political representatives who support the president, saying that it's not a matter of 2 terms, 3 terms. The Constitution, we made it. We know the ins and outs here. It's uncertain only for us, not them. So 2 terms, 3 terms, we are the ones who decide. If you want, do 2 terms, 3 terms, 4 terms. The only term you must not violate is the full respect of our interests. That's why we put you there. So from that point of view, that's what a constitution is about. In this sense, can we say that politically, we have a law capable of managing the nation and providing political direction? I say no. Economically, they say that according to the agreements, nothing in the subsoil belongs to you. And to be very clear, nothing belongs to you, even though they held the 1884 conference. As soon as they see that there is understanding and cohesion in the countries, they need to subdivide them further because they have mapped out the subsoil. They know exactly what is in the subsoil across the different countries. Let me give an example. When they arrived in the north of the continent, in the Sahara region, they cut off a part of Mali, then they cut off a part of Burkina, and they went as far as Kaya. They cut off a part of Mauritania, a part of Senegal. If you search on your phones, January 1957, you'll see that they created what was called the Common Organization of Saharan Regions. That means it's an organization which, as things developed, was about to form a new country that would transcend the other countries, whose subsoil is extremely rich. Extremely rich because, according to history and geological analyses, it is stated that there is no aquifer in the ground with the same capacity as the one that crosses the Sahara all the way to Dijik. So that's why they want to settle there. And at the same time, they were giving us documents about the subsoil. They say, well, the contents of the subsoil, there's nothing there. There's nothing, just some pebbles and so on. And the real documents, they have them. When it's time to come and exploit, those who said the subsoil contained nothing, they come, they request a plot somewhere. Then, after a week or 2 of digging, they say they found gold. Yes, but they found this, they found that. At first, they had said there was no trace of gold. They had said there was no trace of diamonds. They had said there was no oil. They had said there was no Durabian. But we told the Burkina Faso people, we are in a revolutionary movement. Stay united in solidarity with all the peoples around the world. And you will see in 20 years, 30 years, all these lying parties that were left to us. We are going to prove them wrong. We will expose them because they said there was no gold. Now we have more than 10,000 industrial gold mining operations. They said there were no diamonds. But as for diamonds, if you look at the geological formation in Côte d'Ivoire, there's a place called Tortia. Practically, over there, diamonds are just out in the open. And the rock indicator that shows there are traces of diamonds there is Ginverite. Just as there are in South Africa, there are diamonds in Tortia and in the Banfora area as well. Goodbye, thank you, see you soon. And for a long time, they've been saying there are no diamonds. There you go, they've come back again. They requested papers and diamond prospecting permits, but we refused. We will review them ourselves when ready. They come here, they want to give us something. If we say we don't have oil, but just last year we received a message from a young man who said that in their village there is a man-made pit 3 or 4 meters deep and the water there smells like oil. No sovereignty. But why do they say there is no oil? That means that Burkina Faso, just like Mali and Niger, has oil. It's because they want to cover it up. The question of uranium, there is that too. So we, the people of the Sahel states, are basically sitting on what I would call a geological scandal. But precisely, those who come might devastate us so that economically we are preparing ourselves little by little and in solidarity. Universally, we are expecting defeat. On a secular level, in order to devastate us, they even told us that we don't need soldiers, that we don't need gendarmes, that we don't need police officers, that we don't need GST, that we don't need customs officers, that all these forces should be replaced with private companies. As a result, if you look at the structural adjustment programs in 1990 to 92, they came and blocked all the meetings. To the point where even security personnel, they said that should be handed over to private companies. But in fact, they know the number of Japanese, they know the number of police officers, they know the number of soldiers, they know at any moment if they need to attack, how many days they give themselves because they have no resistance to face. And in the agreement, one of the points is that civilians cannot manufacture weapons. That means they know exactly what types of weapons you have as well. And then when our soldiers, our gendarmes, people who are very well trained, very well educated, find themselves analyzing a national concern, security is not going well. They have to consult with each other to see what needs to be done. To go into a meeting to consult with each other in the name of the nation, you look behind you and there are people eavesdropping. And then when you finish the meeting, well, you decide to pay for 2 or 3 of your drinks. They'll tell you, no, that's not for you to buy. Wait until we call the social consom now, and then, well, we'll give it to you. They'll do something under the table. They'll go look in their stock from the First and Second World Wars. They take out glasses that don't even work anymore. That's what they want to give you, just to greet you. And you want us to keep going like this? That's why when the captain arrived, when the president arrived, the very first thing was to say, you find me, you call me. We'll see today. This isn't a side that's going to cooperate. You're going to empty out. If our military brothers who are very well trained find this, it's going to be a love affair. Now, if we want him to come and join, it's us who choose him. It's not him coming because he wants to take part in the meeting. No. But we still have to choose our partners. We have to look specifically at the embassy level. And if someone wants the church to be established, what should they do? We have stated the point of excellence. Excuse us, that's all we're going to say. So from the moment we choose like this, the country that's here, everything you do, it's not good. Because you want to take care of your people. And they want to come and plunder you to develop themselves. But if you don't agree, no one forced you to stay. We didn't send officials back from the continent. It's completely free. You really don't want to, do you? We have freely and willingly chosen our partners. There you go. Just as you said, there are 2. I went to hear about your father. It's not that you're giving someone false hope. It's not that you're not there. It's not that you're not there. You can't come and tell me that you love me more than I love myself. That's not true. You can't come and destroy my grandfather, my ancestors, destroy my grandfather, destroy my father. And then you come and say, no, well, really, not today. It's true that I hurt your grandfather, your ancestors, but as for you, we can get along. If I'm smart, I should make more bets. It's just a word. I have to spread my rumor because he's coming. Because he's in a period where he doesn't want to act. When the rumor arrives, he'll come and act. So there you go. At least it's clear what it means to call us. With structural action programs, we come, we destroy. Now you go, we say, well, you put in the structural action programs, you see that the country isn't getting out of it. We bring in darkness, and despite everything, they say no, wait. When you can't make it, we'll baptize for our whole country. There are things you no longer pay for. They'll tell you, you're a poor, heavily indebted country. Poor, heavily indebted, it's in debt. So that's what they call you, and if you take the name, you keep it. All right, and then they tell you, well, go ahead, do your thing, we'll postpone it. When they see that social tension is rising, that people want to protest, they come back to support you with water projects. They say, no, wait, you're not abandoned. We have an accelerated development program in place now for accelerated science, so don't worry. So you see, we're just changing terms from one to another. And by changing the terminology, they fooled us so much, even through their education. They brainwashed us so thoroughly that when they introduce new terms, we also find specialists, our black brothers and sisters, who go on TV to show that it's good. Here's the content. And when we finish breaking it down, and after a year we see that it amounts to nothing, they change the word again. And then we start going off in all directions again. And it's through this little by little that they manage to figure us out. And I'll give some examples when we talk like this. They told us, because you take the issue of human rights in connection with this situation, they are mutual to us. We're not even all included in the Black Code of 1685. We're not considered human beings. It's as if I'm not supposed to talk about human rights. Yet the first charter in the world, 2, 3 human beings who said how to raise a child, how to take care of a child, how to manage the bush, that is the forest, how to move your feet. It's the Charter of Kurukan-Fuga from 1312. You can hear me over here. But for us, your people, they rushed on August 26, 1789 to declare, well, now, today, it's the Universal Declaration of the Rights of Man and of Peoples. And today, since December 10th, 1948, we have the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And we ourselves forget that we are doing what our ancestors have already done. Since 1060, since that time, people have been demonstrating. 1236. If people have been demonstrating since our ancestors, society is structured. But why today do we give the impression we are the real ones? You take this responsibility from 1236, you carry it within, whether it's Article 9, 10, or 11. It is even said that childhood is a communal good. It's not an individual life. It is even said in the tradition that when it comes to marriage, you get married, and at some point, things don't work out. And when society, the elders, decide that it's not working out, then we have to be separated. You can't have a marriage separation in the middle of the village. That wouldn't be appropriate for us. The couple was brought to the outskirts, to the edge of the village to do it, because it's considered a painful separation. But with the laws that were brought to us, look at what we've done. We build courthouses right in the middle of the city, and every day it's bang, 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 separations. And then we're buried in the ground. We can't be sitting on top of our own suffering while also producing stones in the earth. So the third level is the cultural level. It's as if all those we bury each year have come to make a statement, expressing that we should even feel ashamed. We shouldn't get close. Progress is theirs, development is theirs. But what kind of progress and development are you talking about? Before you came to talk about colonization and so on, our parents, our people were producing gold. They were already producing iron. They were producing weapons. And you, who are a descendant of those born in Africa, you come to believe that, well, it's like a child who goes to school and then turns against his father, who brought him into the world because he wants to destroy him. He says the father is nothing. There is no greater curse than that. That's why we say that all those who attack Africa, you have no future. Africa will prevail because you can't just attack an ancestor, a grandmother. It's not possible. I'm not going to make what you call everyone. We understand that Pan-Africanism is nothing else. It's the Parathina and it's African land. So how should we defend it? It's not just land that you pick up as soil. It's land with human value, with economic value, with political value, with cultural value, with secular value. That's what we need to understand. But precisely, since they came during the time of independence, how many young people have died carried away by the sea? With all the crimes committed at sea, look at how many young black people others bring back dead, like bags. And you want us to close our eyes. We can't close our eyes. That's why Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, at a certain point, like an ancestral fire that suddenly reignited, experienced changes in all three countries, and the three societies quickly came together, first on September 16th, 2023. Before that, they said we need to move forward, we need to do the same thing. That's why they analyzed the Istako-Gourmand Charter and established the Alliance of Sahel States. Istako in Shushule means indomitable. So they set up the Alliance of Sahel States. And as they progressed, on July 6, 2024, in Niamey, Niger, they met and established the Confederation of Sahel States. By signing a treaty, drafting the internal regulations, and issuing the communiqué. And it is precisely in these internal regulations in the Tebri tournament that it is stated that when the three heads of state meet, they are called the College of Heads of State. Below the College of Heads of State, we have the confederal government. And below the confederal government, we have the parliamentary stations. But now, each country must set up a national commission for the Confederation of Sahel States and appoint a president and then 3 vice presidents. Why a president and 3 vice presidents? Because precisely the 3 heads of state have taken the lead in shaping history. Because if you look it up on your phone, you'll see that in 1954, the Federation of the Manifestator, which included Upper Volta, Benin, and Senegal, failed because at the time, it's not that they didn't work, but they went immediately and directly towards a federation. So, when it comes to a federation, you have to be very sure that you have established the institutional foundations, economically, culturally, secularly, and politically, before you talk about a federation. If they weren't ready yet, they went straight to a federation. You have to start with a confederation. By starting with a confederation, that is, each country still retains its sovereignty, but you have to choose key countries among which, when they are unanimous, you must first work together in a consolidated way to move forward. And what is the approach? First, it's defense and security. Second, it's diplomacy. Third, it's development. And when they do all these things, when they hold all these meetings, you see some people say, no, we're talking about the AES, all that. Is it making progress? Where are they at? Is it any good? But I tell them that the heads of state met in January 2025, and studies are underway where they have decided on the biggest project. First, the main railway project is supposed to connect the 3 capitals of the 3 ARS countries. And the second major project is also a railway project. Secondly, I informed them that the 3 heads of state have implemented the AES area passport. They have decided to set up ARS communication bodies, print media, radio, and television. And since they are providing the means, they have created the Confederal Bank of the States of Israel. They have just decided to implement the biometric card for the AES area. And indeed, we cannot talk about Pan-Africanism, we cannot talk about African land and continue to create barriers that prevent African brothers from coming. No, the head of state has issued an instruction, especially in the case of Burkina in Antanabi, saying that all African brothers, wherever you are, if you want to come home to Burkina, there is no reason to require a visa. So that's what true nationality is. That's what I stand for. I don't even know why I'm saying this. Is it over? Do we still need to pay attention? Some steps have been taken, but there is still a lot to do. And in all that remains to be done, we need to keep our eyes open. And the fact that you are here today in Burkina, united in African brotherhood, means that our eyes are already open. Why did I say there is still a lot to do? There is still a lot to do because you can see it written everywhere. The currency that General Desbourg created for the French colonies in 1945, even in the agreements, the 11 agreements, it was clear we are not allowed to use any currency other than the French one. But precisely, when the heads of state are thinking about how to create a currency, people are impatient. They're shouting from the rooftops, "Where are you? You're going to create a currency. Where do we stand?" Why isn't it happening? In 1958, when Sékou Touré demanded independence for Guinea here and now, General de Gaulle said, "You want independence? Here and now you shall have it," while clinging to the entire Guinean colonial administration. And I pay tribute to the memory of all the teachers, including Joseph Sisebo, who are no longer with us today, who made the decision to leave Guinea and to teach African children in Guinea on a voluntary basis. So for that, I am ready. Goodbye. I remember I was told at that time when we decided to create the Guinean currency, when they had the prototype, they knew how it was done. Even before it was officially announced to counter the noise about the Guinean currency was already being promoted behind the scenes to be able to break the colonies. But we had this slight advantage for this experience. They know how we suffered back then. Someone suffered in those days. But if you fall, it's much better to keep your head up, to persevere. When you are too proud, you fall. Because if you stay up there, you fall and look around. Tomorrow you get up again. You have to look at the whole picture. When they're in a hurry to say you're going to create, you bring everything, they'll say it's our way. We're the ones who said we want to change the way. Why are you in such a hurry? Because it's not your way. Since when do you take your own path and tell the enemy, go here? Stay, wait, one day you'll understand that we have our own way, and then we function properly. But actually, the main issue isn't even about having a currency. That's why it's troubling. What's troubling is that just before paying salaries, it has to be a CFA that France has control, that they have the ability to create obstacles to prevent paying for this plane, that garage, that tank. No. Because we are no longer going to advise you to keep your CFA. That's true. We've also changed partners. That's true. Now we're going to put you directly in front of the manufacturer, and every week dozens, even hundreds of tanks are coming in by air. Thousands of trucks are coming in by air. How do we pay for it? That's not your problem. Is it wings or what? That's not your problem. That's what hurts them. They want to say we're buying from them. All those patients we pay in full. So when we pay less than you, we're going to pay again for the truck that should have cost 1 to 2 francs, but on my thing, the first and second are at 3. But since we changed the partnership, we have the possibility to go to the companies we talked about. And who told us we would find them there? And also, they're sitting there. There's a FINAD at his place. Come on, now he's going to sell them to us. It can go like that, and then we'll talk about it. So, in that case, they'll face each other like that. Some are in a hurry, others are there, that's it. The new boss, as I say, General Chani, said the technicians are working. When it's time, they'll let them speak and come out for unity. That's the first point, to show that the struggle is also moving forward. The second point that shows we shouldn't make a fuss is the food issue. You know very well that food is the body's first medicine. What are we eating? Have you figured it out? Products that maybe should even be fed to animals, we transport them, we bring them into our countries. You take a small bowl of rice, put it in a big pot, light the fire, and it just sticks to the bottom of the pot. The rice doesn't have it. You know, with this kind of consumption, where we don't even know the sources, you'll find children who are 12, 13, 15 years old, and they're said to have high blood pressure. But how can a 15-year-old child, he wants to go, he's married, he's dead. I didn't say I was married, I'm dead.
I didn't say I was married, I'm dead.
So there are diseases we don't know about that we've talked about, but it's not to the extent of the issue of food self-sufficiency.
And when it comes to food self-sufficiency, we want to make progress. You see, when you take the right path, the path of truth, brotherhood, and transparency, even the ancestors who are in the ground agree with you. Why? Because you can go buy power tillers and other equipment, and yet you don't get any further. Since the head of state decreed it on May 15th, every May 15th I perform traditional rituals in our country. But for the past 2 years, it has been raining. Even the heads of state, the traditional chiefs, haven't tried to bring in water. They tried to channel the water. They want more. We expect a connection with our roots, with culture. It's moving forward. So when it comes to giving or transporting bags of expired food, etc., we will look at that carefully. But here too we need to appeal to the patriotism of our brothers and sisters. Why should they appeal to their patriotism? Let's say we arrived at the port in Ghana. There were goods that were supposed to come in, but Ghana refused because even the food products were not fit for consumption. But if you, for example, are from Elias and you go and buy, just because you want money, you go and buy new bags to repackage, in other words, to put in new sachets, the same products that were rejected, to come and sell them to your own people, then you are no better than a slave trader. That's why we have fought such a battle and made progress. We need to have a spirit of truth, transparency, and unity. So a revolutionary unity. Without that, it's not possible. The third element after food and the issue of the CFA franc is the medical question. Who can say that the pills we have here are truly meant to heal us? And that's what they produce. I congratulate the customs officials who just put on a show in a certain locality. We have progress plans. The vaccines being used around the world, are they really making progress? Isn't it possible that they're programming us to die en masse in 10 or 15 years? Aren't they injecting us with robots so they can track us? In the midst of COVID-19, you bring in medicines. You even put names on them. And those names, nobody knows. It's like the grandfather of God.
You bring in a vaccine called Don Juan, a gift. Don Juan is going to wake up. And I come to get vaccinated. You say, well, if I don't get vaccinated, I can't travel.
And you can vaccinate me. You even tell my people, you say to me, well, if you take the Don Juan vaccine, well, you have to wait a week, 2 weeks for it to settle in the body.
I said, it's not a big deal.
But when I say I won't do it, that's the point. You put me in a tough spot, I leave the house, you put me there, I repeat it. So the third element is the judicial question. We don't like having presidents who take action in the future while others just sit on the other side. We lie about them, we fabricate evidence, we come and arrest them to take them to The Hague, to the International Federal Court. Why?
Are the United States leaving from there?
What about the other Europeans? The one with Israel, who massacres China. Are they leaving from there? Why aren't they being arrested?
Are there any criminals worse than them?
So from this point of view, we are not going to allow ourselves to keep submitting to confinement orders. We'll see about that later.
We will welcome the Federal Judicial Court.
That's what we're going to do. And now the other one, the deputy prefect, we have to play along. It's a matter of mental dispute, of education. We can't keep letting the children be taken, grabbed, and sent off somewhere. And we don't even know what will happen to them after they disappear. No, we need to review the curricula.
The curricula in which we were taught lies.
They even told us that Christopher Columbus discovered the United States. They made us recite his words in class. Oh, Christopher Columbus, yes, exactly. Oh, Christopher Columbus, he went to the United States in 1492. Our grandfather, Boubacar Mansa from Mali, went to the United States in 1072. So that means Christopher Columbus went there after him 180 years, almost 2 centuries later. That's quite a while. We've changed the conflict of conscience. That's the resolution. And precisely in this compensation, we're talking about documents because that's what we said at the UN. How can they not want Africa, which swept in to liberate the world, to come to the UN? They say, no, no, no. When we said those who are on duty 24 hours a day, France covered the seats. When you were gathered, when you were occupied, the Republic came to liberate you. They say to those on night duty, when you agree to sit in the city's place, and now to get us to indicate that we should be at 110, they even invent a term and come to give it to us.
You say no, your grandparents had nothing to do with it.
On the battlefield, they couldn't even shoot straight. They were shooting elsewhere. Therefore, they are riflemen. My grandfather was never shot anywhere else. He didn't fire anywhere else.
If he had fired elsewhere, the great battle would have been over. But for how many years will we have this and that?
To our children.
Former rifleman, veteran rifleman.
When they trusted, when they said, my grandfather isn't you, straight to the team, to politics, to the class, to the nonsense. So that's at the level of education. Third phase of education, we're not going to keep paying for armored vehicles, keep paying for caravans, keep paying for... No, the state must get organized. If we need to give scholarships, we need vehicles, right? No.
We look with our partners to see which country manufactures the best vehicles.
We take 100 children, 200, we send them, we follow up with them. As soon as they come back.
We set up a laboratory. We won't say where. We set up a laboratory.
and then they're inside. In any case, in 2 or 3 years, we'll see new vehicles, but they won't see anything. It will be the same when it comes to weaponry. Take the case of Ukraine. Ever since it has been used as a tool, the United States has been selling fighter jets by the hour. Go ahead, ask them. All the fighter jets that have been sold, the memory card has to be replaced every 6 months. Every 6 months. They give you a plane and it's the one you bought right there. At any moment, you can decide that your plane is out of commission. We're going to stay stuck in that. They want us to pay for the equipment.
We're not going to pay them over there.
We're also going to take a look at how things should be made.
Even if we make it like that, the sports product, it's not good. We're going to keep going.
The partner was like that. With partners, they created. Now, if we come in with a partner, and the partner also isn't right, we say goodbye. It just won't work. If you're there and you don't want to do this kind of work, you say goodbye. Because, and to finish on that note, even the cement institutions, you give the money, you've already made a partnership. You come and destroy the foundations of countries. Even education has been ruined. And when they have leaders who love money, they put the money in the coffers, go borrow, go play with the children there. There's no point in making them fail. You have to just let them pass automatically. There you go. Because starting from the CND, we can have that. Also, when there are already 15 or 16 children in a class, you start saying there are too many. For us, there are 200 or 300 students like that. The teacher can't even walk between the rows to check and supervise the children. Yet a good education should start with the fact that as an experienced teacher, I know the children by their names. And even beyond their names, I know their parents. Why? So that in case of difficulty, I can call them. Don't we have the means to build schools and more schools? We want the means. Unfortunately, they take out 20 billion. They say it's a loan. The country is saddled with 20 billion just for the leaders to take. Out of the 20 billion, they take 4 billion. It's not even in their country. They create an account and put the 4 billion there. But they know very well, even their 8-year-olds can see it. So they turn a blind eye as if they don't see it. So when we diverted them, as a head of state, I had to hustle with a few heads of cattle just to be able to bring in 4 billion euros.
So we let it go. So when they start to notice that you don't feel comfortable, maybe they'll inject something, you might die, they freeze the account, maybe they fabricate charges, everything is set up, well, it goes to court, and they embezzle like that.
Why, if you agree, are you a good partner? Do you want to help me? What is stopping you, if I was the one who embezzled and brought it to you, from taking me back and handing me over to my country?
That's what should have been done. That's what a good partnership is too.
You say you're my partner, you come to my place, I'm the one in my own house.
You give me the reason, you say yes.
You say that I said my house is open here. You come, you give me the reason, you say fine, take the loan, but don't take it here, not for housing. So do you want to drown me? I take my money, I want to pay it home, you say no, I have to go. That's why we say we're not going to chase away a financial partner. If you bring your money, it's you who came, we didn't give it to you. That's where we're heading. If you give your money, we leave from here. If you don't give it either, we leave from here.
If you don't want to, go back. We didn't give anything.
So if there are any IMF kids, they'll tell me very well. Anyway, even if they didn't come, it won't make a difference for them. If you send your loans, those are our development projects. It won't benefit us. Let's go. All right, the last topic is to ask you, wasn't there among the parents, when we talk about solidarity, should solidarity be used more? People fought, and everything that was done in our greetings and so on was to say that there is an African leadership group that is going to leave. I'll give an example. The Momba in Congo, you will be. There is no good word for it. Look at what they did to us. We find that the students are making connections. And thugs, they say it's time to go and ruin things. And years later, they bring it back. It's the same story. These are so-called human rights defenders. Second point, let's go to Cameroon. They cut off the head and displayed it right in the middle of the neighborhood. They forced the people to come and witness the destruction. You see your leader, you see his head. Beware. Third point, Madagascar, it's not even worth mentioning. where they go to dig up skulls that end up appearing at their place. Last point, nearby Thomas Sankara. How can people who have laboratories who can determine the nature of a skeleton in the ground, even if it's 1,000 years old? The Republic hasn't even lasted 30 years, and they're already telling you that you're nowhere near getting there. So it's a way of saying they really don't care. It's the same black code from 1685. We are not considered human beings. And that means if they didn't do it for Sankara, all the better for whoever decides to stand up for Africa. It's a way of saying they're warning you. But when they say they're warning you, it's not just empty words. General Lecointe has already said it. Live, the French General Lecointe. When we are preparing, what will happen with the European armies in 10 years or less, and when we return to the Sahel? In any case, we're getting ready. We're waiting for them. We're waiting for them. We're waiting for them. When the head of state arms himself, if it's terrorists, and you send a war for sovereignty, and you also send small armies to sow devastation, who do you think is really there?
We've been getting ready, little by little.
And the problem isn't just getting ready to fight against the armed mercenaries. No, we need to organize ourselves properly, have a simple youth, a united youth, strengthen African unity so that Burkina, Mali, and Niger, why not, can even reach out to a Korean brother from North Korea. There you go. We have these capabilities. You see, it's not such a big deal. But when he talks about rolling, I even say that, in fact, the world remains grounded. And if we want to move forward, we have to go in that direction. So we need to stop. So we can't do it. You have African servants everywhere.
Come help us so that we can move forward.
So I said that in terms of solidarity, this is the best you can allow me, but I need to give specific examples to show that we truly have a vested interest in protecting our heads of state. We have an interest in protecting them because if we mess around what stops me, it's not good. It's not good, that's what it's called. And as I was saying earlier, when you look at cases over time, take the case of Sankara on April 21st, 1986, considering everything he put in place. There you have it, the Institute of Black Peoples in France, the Institute of Black Peoples established here. The president, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, who just addressed this because it wasn't working, on May 21st, he said to put gold into the Institute of Black Peoples in France. So the Institute of Black Peoples, he renamed it the Farahina Institute of Black Peoples. That says it all.
Farahina Institute of Black Peoples.
That's one example. Second example. Sankara is one of those who gave Nelson Mandela a diplomatic passport during apartheid.
Is there any greater support than that?
He courageously said on the 3rd anniversary of the revolution that apartheid is a cancer and that it must absolutely be fought. In relation to the movement, people talk about him. So, whether it's General Goita, General Chani, or Comrade Captain Ibrahim Traoré, in the name of all Africans, our honor, our integrity, our dignity, it's as if they have climbed onto a generational fragmentation explosive device. What does that mean? They're on the edge. When it blows up, we won't be there. And even our children who aren't born yet will pay the price for daring to think about sovereignty. And from that point of view, when they speak, when these heads of state come out and give their speeches, we shouldn't just stop at applauding. Applauding is great, but after that, take the speech, go and sit down by yourself.
Listen to the speech word for word.
Because there are hints, there are things he declares. If you're not very attentive, it can slip by you.
Before he left, Sankara gave the same speech.
When the interview ended, we applauded, didn't we?
He says he's convinced that he can't lend any.
On the left, there are cliffs. On the right, there are cliffs. If he stops pedaling, he'll fall. But he has to keep going. Now they're asking us to hold on tight.
For example, someone else who was around, a week before he died, he told someone, today I trust him, I trust the person.
He said this, whatever, and he says it's his dog that's affected. Why? Simply because at night, when he's watching over his family, the dog comes to be close to him. Is there no way to say, look, I'm in danger? So from this point of view, that's why we must acknowledge the presence of African unity. Thank you. without the idea of being well. And to conclude, I say that we are the voice echoing from a place that is unprotected. It's not that the imperialists don't want to come openly, you see, to ransack someone. It's not that they don't want to go to Pomocombe. They aren't avoiding the union, but ransacking it. The issue is how they get involved and get away with it. That's the equation they're looking at right now. But this equation is made up of your vigilance, your solidarity, your unity. Make the equation very complex so that he cannot solve it. Never finished. From one to all. It's a show for, that's not it, is it? Maybe I'm not saying this quite right. Let me think for a moment, just to find the right words. Go ahead, just give me a second to gather my thoughts and try to explain it a little better. Choreography. Choreography. Thank you for giving us once. Once again. Stay with us until morning. The journey continues. And now we have the privilege of welcoming once again His Excellency Jacob Zuma for another great chapter in history, that of the liberation movements in Africa. Well, maybe that will be after the break when we resume. We will have a major panel right after this short break. And now the Commission has found everything it needs to speak. Excellencies, of course, I will be granting you permission. We will take a pause.
If you believe in African unity, independence, and progress, make sure to subscribe, like, share, and comment to spread this message across every corner of our continent. Together, we are stronger, and together, we will build the United States of Africa. Brothers and sisters, this is the time to stand tall for Africa's dignity. But I want to hear from you. Do you believe the Alliance of Sahel States, AES, is the beginning of true African unity? What steps do you think all African nations should take to finally break free from neocolonial control? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice matters in shaping Africa's future. This is Akosua Prempeh, reporting from the United States of Africa TV. One Africa, one voice, one destiny.